Croeso to Wrexham News. I'm Councillor Carrie Harper.
I'm Councillor Marc Jones.
And today we're talking to Neal Thompson, who is one of the founders of Focus Wales. 15th year this year for the last event, isn't it, Neal?
This one just gone now is the 15th year, yeah.
Okay, so before we start with this year then, what was the vision behind Focus Wales when you first got started?
All right, straight in. Good.
Straight in.
Yeah, well, so 15 years ago, myself and a guy called Andy Jones, who is a friend of mine, we were in school together and all kinds of things. We both live in Wrexham, and we both worked in live music I always have done, really, so since I started out in Wrexham. My old job was, which I was very lucky to get when I was very young, was booking acts at a venue called Central Station.
I think we know Central Station.
Yeah, which is now called the Rocking Chair.
Yeah.
So it's still going, which is great to see. So I got a good start out in life there from my old boss, Matthew Arnold, who's a great guy. Obviously, he's not with us anymore, but he gave me a really big chance early on, which is, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now if it wasn't for that. So that's quite an important thing. So we had all of that experience, working there in the early 2000s. Andy was in various bands and things like that, and toured around Europe and other bits of the world, and then me and him were in a band together and went to Canada and all kinds of places like that. So all of those experiences and bits and bobs kind of led us to a point where we'd started to look at things like, so what Focus Wales is a music industry showcase festival, which basically means it's a music festival, but it's got a very specific music industry bit to it, where music industry people are supposed to come to it, and basically, it's an opportunity for the bands and their representatives to interact with music business people and hopefully get some kind of career advancement out of it, But what we noticed was, we went to a couple of events. So we were lucky enough to play at one in Canada, and then we visited some of the ones that are, closer to home. So we'd been to In the City, which used to happen in Manchester. We'd been to Liverpool Sound City, and we were aware of the Great Escape in Brighton. And what we noticed was the Welsh acts would be participating on a very small scale in a lot of these events. Yeah. And they would be
Language or Welsh artists, or
well, a little bit of a mixture. I would say predominantly the kind of, the more English-centric Welsh artists would seem to play like kind of bit parts in these other events. And they'd often
range, yeah.
Well, they'd be the artist's name, and it would say UK maybe after their name. So there's nothing to denote that they're from Wales. So there's not, the Welsh artists were having to tag on to somebody else's event, really, and fall in and not have their own identity, if you like. So that was one thing we noticed. And then we were thinking, well, there's so much, especially in Wrexham, from our own lived experience, there's so much kind of talent and musical talent here of a really high quality. Even Wrexham itself would lend itself quite well to having, some kind of event like this. So you could see all the little pieces of it kind of coming together. And then, we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if Wales doesn't, the whole country doesn't seem to have anything that it can call its own in this space, in this music industry space. Wouldn't it be good if there was one?
Yeah.
And then the other thing sort of kicks in then, which is your own, self-doubt and self-confidence and, that the mentality maybe that you might have that might, and I don't know where it comes from, but, it's something you've got to overcome, I think, isn't it, being Welsh for a start, is the idea of, I wonder who's going to come in and do this. Who's the expert that's going to come in?
Ourselves.
Well, this is what I mean, because after a while of wondering who the experts that were going to come in, who knew much more about it than us, that were going to save the day and sort everything out and, make it all work. After much, kind of thinking, we were like, well, why don't we just have a go?
Why don't we do it?
Because between us, we know enough people, like we did enough interaction with these kind of music industry people. We knew enough.
Was it a light moment then? Did you just go, wow, we could do this?
Yeah. So, well, without going too much into it, we did, without overcomplicating the whole story, there was a point where we had an opportunity to have a go at it, basically, and then we ended up having a go at it in Wrexham, and it was it was just us doing it. You know, we were like, well, let's just try it and see what happens, because it's like, you know, it's self-propelled. It's like no one's given us any money towards it or anything like that. We just think it's a good idea, so we're going to crack on, you know, and do it. So we used Central Station as it was at the time, and that had 2 stages in it. So we had like 30 bands or something like that, and the Royal Oak as well we used too. We put like a little, like a free thing on in there. And we put like 30 acts on from around Wales, and we did a little miniature, like we do a conference at Focus Wales now. So we had one panel with like, you know, 4 speakers on it, I think, on one of the days. And then about, to be honest, we were chuffed. We had about 600 people, I think, over the 2 days for it, which was great. So that was 2011, yeah. And that was just us doing it, and then just hoping it broke even, and, you know, trying to make a point, really. So that's where we started 15 years ago, and with those things in mind. And then the other important things to note, I think, are Andy and I both came through like Welsh, you know, Welsh first language Welsh education in school.
Yeah.
None of our families speak Welsh, so we're, you know, we went through that system where we got we were lucky to be able to learn the language as well in school and have it when we left. And then, you know, obviously that stays with you, and that brings a lot into the thinking and the philosophy and the kind of thing that you want to achieve with this event, you know. And the other thing we wanted to really make sure that was happening was obviously create a space where there's an identity for Welsh music, and it's specifically different to other things, but also have a space where Welsh language music and English language music from Wales and anything else from Wales would all sit together. You know, all these other different kinds of genres would all be in parity. You know, there's no like, there's the Cymraeg stage and there's the, you know, rap stage. There's it's like, well, everything sort of is side by side then. And then, you know, because I suppose, again, without veering off too much, there's
all your life.
But there's a you know, there's a very developed Welsh language music industry in Wales, and this allows Focus Wales is to allow non-Welsh speakers another way of seeing it and accessing it and experiencing it and communicating that outside of Wales to the rest of the world. You know,
Well, it's normalising the language, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, here's this little corner stage, or here's this little ghetto. You know, it's everywhere. And I know we've had this conversation over the years. You know, should Cllr have the Welsh language bands? And you've quite rightly come back and said, no, we want it everywhere. We want the Welsh language to be in all the venues. And I think you're right. You know, we may have disagreed at the time, but I think you're right. It should be everywhere. And I think everybody benefits from that, because you get that little taster, you know. So it's and it's interesting that you saw that from the start. Was that a conscious thing you were trying to do?
Absolutely, yeah. So just from our experience of, you know, kind of knowing, it's great to see both sides of the coin, really. You can see the, you know, the kind of the Cymraeg scene and participate in that and be a part of it, but also, you know, having that, just being able to sort of see how it goes in other places. You know, like I was saying about, you know, Wales having these kind of little bit parts in someone else's party. You know, it's kind of like it's all of that was all this international stuff and the stuff that we do in Wrexham. Like, you know, we can talk about that a bit if you want. You know, the other thing that we really wanted to do was make it an international festival and have that outreach thing where we could take Welsh music abroad as well from, you know, from the basis in Wrexham. So I mean, so the importance of having the, you know, the if we're just going to pick on the Welsh language music, the importance of having that as just as front and center as everything else, and not, you know, just making everything on a kind of the same level and as accessible. It is part of that as well, because it's like that's the next step then, to be able to try and take that, you know, Cymraeg music as well to other countries, and, you know, break down that kind of language barrier or whatever, and, you know, do that kind of cultural sharing without it not being in English being a problem, you know.
That's a really good point, because it's interesting some of the countries you pick up on. It's like Canada, which is a bilingual country. I know you've had people from the Basque country and Catalonia in the past. Was that a conscious decision, you know, to go to bilingual countries where, you know, maybe the dominant language didn't have to feature more heavily?
I think there's a lot of, you know, there's a kind of shared experience and a bit of synergy with those people. So we would naturally gravitate to each other, you know, like almost like the, you know, the Catalan people that we work with and ourselves. We found each other very early on, you know, and had a lot in common. and we're on the same kind of mission,
Yeah.
and they have their own programs where they take their own music, around the world. So Catalans, the Balearics, who speak Catalan as well. Obviously, we do a lot in Montreal with Quebec.
Yeah.
They seem very interested in what we were doing, and so there's a lot of sharing going on there. But yeah, I think that we do a thing called Eurosonic as well, which is Europe's kind of biggest music industry event, which is great. So we have Wales as a presence there. And but one thing that we like that they do is they do a similar thing, but they try and amplify all of the languages across Europe. All of the other languages, and it's not to not have English stuff. It's just to put everything on the same level as it, which I think is important. And that it shouldn't all be about the only cultural commodities of value have to be in English, otherwise it's not worth it. It's like that. It's changing that kind of narrative was like everything's worth.
Yeah.
Something. If you dismiss it from the beginning, you that's the uphill battle. But if we can create the space for everything, then we'll see. What kind of rises to the top.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, it's worth mentioning actually the level of Welsh language music that you have as part of Focus Wales, because it's grown and grown, hasn't it? I know we talked about this before. It's very central now, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I should know the numbers off the top of my head. We do have a lot of Welsh language music at Focus Wales, though. Sorry, I should have. It's like Dragon's Den when you don't know your figures, isn't it?
I think you've mentioned this 7th level Welsh language music before now, which is incredible when you think about it. In Wrexham, as close as we are to the border, that we're so central in providing a stage for the Welsh language music scene. I think that's amazing.
And I think like I say, Focus Wales is it's an event for the whole of Wales, and it takes place in Wrexham. And I think that's really important for us, is to show, Wrexham can show you what Wales is all about as well. You know what I mean? So that is quite important. It's part of an integral thing, really. Sort of showcasing the city and.
And that was quite brave 15 years ago. I think a lot of people 15 years ago would have said, Wrexham, small town in the northeast.
Yeah.
Why don't you put it in Cardiff?
But no, exactly. Yeah. And
did you get that?
We would get that question quite a lot. It's like, why isn't it in Cardiff? And it's like, well, there's no reason. There's nothing wrong with having things in Cardiff, obviously. I mean, it's a great city. It's the capital city, isn't it? But why not have it in Wrexham is the real answer to that. It's like, and I think, I think it's quite, one thing we are quite pleased about, I think, is, when you look at the other kind of, major cultural activity that's going on in Wrexham, really, and the football is obviously one of them. But if anything, that really just proves our point. So 15 years ago, we were like, well, hang on, this is a really good place to do stuff.
Yeah.
This is like...
The potential was there
Yeah.
before the football, as great as that is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we've got a lot going on here. And it's not taking away anything from anything. It's just that, we believed in it then, and we were like, yeah, no, this is the thing. We're going to do this. This is what we want to do. We think this is the right place for it. We think this has got the legs, this is the thing that we can develop over time because this place is good, and it's like, it's got all the things that you need.
Yeah.
The talent is there. The infrastructure of the city centre is perfect for what we want to do. There's loads of little venues there's loads of venues of various sizes that are all very close to each other. So that whole thing that we need, that people being able to pop in and out of events, of showcases and things without having to take a taxi somewhere or move out of the city centre is all great. So yeah, I mean, I definitely, build it and they will come sort of thing, and then it's kind of come good for us. Other people have sort of finally seen, oh yeah, actually that is quite a good place. There is a lot of stuff going on there. That's a place where I want to invest money in, or
Well, yeah, because I don't think people perhaps know so much about the business or the industry side of things. Can you talk a little bit about how that has helped some bands in Wales, perhaps, and and to what extent do industry people, probably from London or Manchester or wherever, or internationally, come here for the first time and go, wow, didn't know this existed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, definitely the whole point of it, but definitely one of the major kind of reasons for doing it is to promote, is to contribute to a Welsh music industry. So we play a part in that, in providing a little bit of structure around it. Not, just it's a bit of the whole piece, that we get to do here, which is great. But yeah, and then the point of it is that, it's first and foremost, it's a showcase for Welsh music, for music industry people from, like you say, from outside of Wales, but that's from anywhere outside of Wales, from around the world, really. Yeah. So, we get music industry people from certainly all the nations that we partner with, and, so we get people from, like I say, Catalonia to Canada, whatever, Southeast Asia, there's all kinds of different people coming to Wrexham to see what, Welsh music is all about. And yes, there are kind of outcomes like that where, Welsh artists will start working with people, or they'll get in, and the other sort of obvious thing is the international opportunities that are connected to it. Absolutely. So bringing all these people in to Wrexham to see what's going on in in Wales obviously then it opens the way up the other way. So what the whole point of it is
cultural exchange.
Exactly, yeah, is building these kinds of two-way streets really to other countries where we can then take Welsh music,
So which other countries are Welsh bands going to then as a result of this?
So, I mean, this year, we'll be doing Eurosonic again, which is like I say, that's in the Netherlands, in a city called Groningen. And that is the biggest sort of meeting point in the EU for music industry. Wow. So we'll be doing that one. Reeperbahn in Germany and Hamburg. That's another big, industry event. And then the other ones that we've done this time, and they do change. Sometimes we'll have a look at it and review it and think, oh, well, maybe we want to look at this one instead, and maybe that one's run its course or whatever. But so this earlier this year we did South by Southwest in Texas.
Massive, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of the world's biggest sort of music industry showcase, and then M for Montreal in in Quebec, and then there's a few others different opportunities that we get, and they can vary, what I mean, but I'd say they were the major ones that we've just done. And like I said, we're not, we're always trying to stay dynamic with that and look at what makes sense and what we think the best events for the Welsh artists to go to are, and there's various different things that you take into consideration, but always the interests of the artists are first for us. You know what I mean? That's the main thing. It's got to be the benefit to Welsh music and the artists that are involved is the main thing. So yeah. Sorry if I wondered if I answered your question. No,
I think you did. But you said at the start it was 600 people, 2 stages, and the Royal Oak for a free thing. So what was it this year? What was the scale this year?
Yeah.
Was it the biggest ever?
So that's where we started, yeah. And now, so we do quite a few different things now. So there's about, I think it's something like, there's about 14 venues, but a lot of them have more than one space inside. Yeah. So when you add it all up, I think we've got 20 stages altogether. And one of them being, we built a big tent on Llr now, behind where we are now in South Sarin. So that's like kind of more of an outdoor festival type of site that you'd be sort of familiar with, and obviously the rest of it's in venues in town, and that holds 1,500 people in one go. But over the 3 days now, it's something like 24,000 people in Wrexham over the 3 days.
Was that the biggest this one then?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay, wow.
And you see a lot of Wrexham faces, obviously. A lot of people from Wrexham enjoy the whole weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But obviously there's an awful lot of people coming here as bands, as fans of specific bands, and probably seeing Wrexham for the first time, I would imagine. The boost for the town must be huge.
Yeah.
Have you tried to quantify?
Oh, we do, yeah, every year. So we use a thing called Event Impact Calculator, which is sounds fun, but that helps you to gauge the economic impact your event has on. So we're still doing the final figures for this one, but like the 2024 event was about 1.2 million of economic impact, and that's so that means this is visitors coming into Wrexham and spending money in the city centre. So that's in all the venues, taking up hotel rooms, and the money that they'd spend in like buying dinner and food and going to shops and all that kind of stuff. So and then doing it in the centre of the city and doing it in the venues themselves, it means that is real impact. It's going straight into the till, in all of these places. Yeah, exactly. And then here, like Side Siren and stuff, and it's good, and that's one of the other important things for us as well. It's it brings benefit to the artist, but in the wider picture, it's not
it's mutually beneficial, isn't it? Everybody
which
gets
is the point. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we're here to do, really. You know what I mean?
Because bands are important, organisers are important, promoters and all that are important, but venues, without the venues, what have you got?
No, exactly.
Nowhere to play. So actually keeping venues going becomes an important thing itself, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. And we're, like I said before, we play a part, and it's like, and I know our thing is a bit of a boost, but it's, we're once a year. So, that we could do our bit once in May, and then we do, our organisation does a few other things, but the main thing we would do where we're making that kind of like cooperative, contribution to hopefully to the venues and things like that is only once a year. So, we could do with another couple of them, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we wouldn't say that, would we? Yeah.
So is that the plan in terms of what comes next?
Well, I think, what we're interested in is what you said though, Marc, which is like, without venues, we can't do Focus Wales. So, it's in our interest to support all aspects of the music industry, especially in the city where you're based. So, anything that our event can do that contributes to the overall kind of sustainability of the fabric of the music industry in Wrexham and the whole of Wales, then great. And I know it's not, we're a part of the bigger picture, and the bit that we can contribute, I think, is good. But then we'll always be open to the idea of, how can we help or encourage other people to do similar things as well, or of how can we create a space where we can facilitate
and you've
that
got a template now because you've actually done it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard going first, but you have, and then hopefully for other people, there's that mentoring capacity as well, like you say, in which there's so much potential, isn't there?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, and I think that's the healthy sort of thing about it is it's like, I think just our sort of the way we've come from in our mindsets about it is being aware of what it is. It's like we've tried to create a thing that is like that has benefit in it, and like you say, like is mutually beneficial. You need to be aware of all kinds of things. So don't you got to be aware of like the succession? It's like, we'll get older, but hopefully the thing that we've set in motion will continue to go, and you've got to think about that as well. And it's they think about, how do you help people come next, and how do you help people join in, and how do you help everyone be a part of it and get something out of it. But then if you do that, in my opinion, then you're helping other people to have ideas like this and then go off and do their own things and keep that ball rolling sort of thing, isn't it?
And you have brought different elements, and you've done film now.
Yeah. So to be fair, like the core people then is myself, Andy, and Sarah Jones. We sort of run the day-to-day of the whole thing. Another Wrexham-based kind of person you probably know is a guy called Robert Corcoran, and he produces the film festival behalf for us. And yeah, we've been doing that for 5 years now, and that is so that is BAFTA Cymru accredited now, and it's an international kind of film competition as well.
Oh, right.
So that is kind of I'm really pleased with how that's developed, and that is concurrent with like it's kind of where we started with the music thing. We've wanted to sort of supercharge that a bit, to get where we've got in a short time. So I think where that could go is really interesting. That's another sort of bit that could really kind of expand and be a pop, be a thing that hopefully, I don't know, it's like Wrexham's kind of known for as well. Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, Wrexham International Film Fest.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, why not? Exactly though. Yeah. Why not? Indeed, yeah.
Why not was what Rob McElhenney said when he was asked about why Wrexham.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
And I think that is, it's as good as answer as any, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? And I do like that. That kind of, let's do it. Let's have that confidence, the self-confidence. I think what you've brought in terms of doing it and growing it from pretty small to pretty big now. I think it's really interesting how it can be done. You know, you don't need Hollywood, you know, millions. You don't need all the glamour and glitter. You just do the grassroots stuff, and it can be done.
Yeah, I guess, you know, and we're really pleased, obviously very privileged position, you know, and like we're very pleased to have been able to get to where we are with it. And it is through cooperation and working with people and people believing in your idea and then coming along the journey with you and helping you out with it. And, you know, so there's a lot of, I mean, the people I mentioned there, but there's a lot of other people in the, you know, there's hundreds of other people in the background, especially when we do the event, you know, there's
of course.
there's hundreds of people that work on it and that make all of that happen. But then all the other things, you know, and like you're right, but that is it though. So, you know, when you're talking about grassroots, it's building relationships in the place where you are and building up trust and, you know, getting people to sort of go on the journey with you a bit because they're like, well, go on then, let's give it a go. You know, you need everybody else to sort of be able to buy into it as well. And then that's what makes the whole thing work in the end, for sure.
And then it goes past the tipping point and things like this happen where you get 25,000 people come in to Wrexham just over a 3-day period for focus.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the Eisteddfod? We might as well give your work.
Yeah. I suppose, because we just done Focus Wales, haven't we, a month ago? So it's trying to stay current. Obviously, we are planning for the next one already in 2026. But yeah, so obviously the Eisteddfod Genedlaethol is coming to Wrexham this year, which is great, isn't it? And we do work a bit with the team at Eisteddfod, and they were at Focus Wales this year, and they did a networking event in here actually in South Saturn, which was nice. And then so some of the other sort of hats that we wear, we're programming one of the spaces at Fflint Wrecsam, which is Wrexham's kind of I don't know what you'd call it really. Well,
space on
the mice, isn't it? Yeah. So there's a Wrexham, you know, the Wrexham themed kind of bit. So we're programming some music and some talks and some networking sessions in there as well to sort of, you know, so that's with Wrexham Council. But, you know, but it's great. Obviously, we want to play. It's nice for us to be visible there, for people to see Focus Wales and, you know, but for us to program something and, you know, it gets people into the Wrexham bit and finding out a bit more about where they are and all that kind of thing. So I think, you know, that's all good. And doing a talk a bit like this actually as well in Mice D, talking about Focus Wales and stuff as well, which is quite nice of them to ask me to do that. So
you've had a bit of a warm-up then, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to do it in Welsh.
It'll be in Gymraeg in Mice D, yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Fantastic. And for next year's event as well, people can get an early bird ticket as well.
Yeah.
Save a few quid.
Yeah, the early bird tickets are on now, yeah. It was super early bird for a bit, but they always, sorry, excuse the pun, but they fly out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very popular though. And then but they're still on the early bird rate. And then until we sort of announce our first set of acts, which will probably be about, sometime between now and November. So there's still a bit of time for that.
So if you want to grab a bit of a bargain though, it's over to the website and get the early bird tickets.
That's it. Exactly, yeah.
And look forward to next year.
Lovely. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch yn fawr, Neal.
Wel na, diolch i chi. Lovely.